There are a few different places you can go in MyOpenMath to start building questions from scratch. I prefer to go into an existing assignment by clicking on the gear icon next to that assignment and clicking on questions. And then below the list of questions I've already added to an assignment, there's this link to add a new question. This will just make it easier at the end of this process to add the question to this assignment since we're already working within that assignment. We'll click Add New Question, and we'll start going through this process from beginning to end. We'll incorporate a couple of commands that we haven't really formally introduced but are pretty fairly easy to pick up and learn, so we can see how this process would work from beginning to end. What we're going to do is create a description for this question which says evaluate, and then we'll use that tick mark next to the 1 key. We want to evaluate the expression a plus b, where a and b are integers. We can give any description that we want for this question, but we want something that makes it clear to ourselves and other instructors what this question is going to be about. If we click Quick Save and Preview, we can see how putting information in those backticks just renders the a plus b expression and the a and b in more of a math type format. Next, we can move down to the use rights, which we'll just leave as private for now since this is just a demo question. I don't really necessarily want it going out into the world for people to use. We can modify the license if necessary or if desired. And then we'll select libraries by unclicking unassigned, because we're going to go ahead and assign this. In this case, this question to arithmetic, integers, and then intro to sine numbers. And then we save that to assign this question that we're building into that library, which again, just makes it easier to find questions in the future when we search. Question type is already set to number, but we have this drop-down menu, and in later videos we'll talk about all these different options. We're going to be using a question type of number, numeric, since our final answer is going to be a number. Then in the common control, we'll start generating the random values that we need for this problem. To create a variable, we use a $sign and give that variable some name. I'm just going to call our values a and b. To create variable a, we'll set that equal to the expression rand, short for random, and then some random number, some random integer between -10 and 10. Then we'll create a variable b, and we'll again set that to be some random integer between -10 and 10. Next, we'll define an expression, which we'll call expression1, and we'll set that equal to, in a set of parentheses, variable a plus variable b. Then we'll create a variable called sum1, which is just the value of our variable a plus our variable b. So the difference here is that first expression, expression1, is in a set of quotation marks. MyOpenMath will treat that as a statement, a string of information, versus when we create the sum1 variable, now it's going to add those two values together that it generates, and that resulting value for that variable will be the integer value that we come up with from that addition step. Then we need to define the answer for our problem, and our answer will be that sum1 calculation, since what we're doing is adding a plus b. Now moving down to the question text box, the first thing I'm going to do is click Toggle Editor so that I get these word processing tools which just make question writing a little bit easier. And we're going to enter the text of our question. This is again what students will actually see when they're working the question. So this will say evaluate the following expression. And then on a new line, I'll type in my variable name. So what MyOpenMath will do will be to drop in that variable string, our variable a plus variable b, equal to answer box. Wherever I put that $sign answer box, it's going to include the box where the student would input their answer to that question. And now we have a question that we've successfully created. The answer box appears where we put that $sign answer box information. MyOpenMath is putting in this expression a plus b using the variables or the values that it generated for those variables. We can use the key icon to view the correct answer, and we can plug in that answer to test and make sure it's accepting that correct answer correctly. So we just want to test our problem after the fact, and you probably want to go ahead and do that with several iterations of the problem. And good, this is an example that I was looking for. In the next video, we're going to look at some additional steps we can add. This was a very simple problem, a very simple approach to setting this up. In the next video, we're going to add a few more steps, including a command that cleans up expressions like this, where we have plus a negative number. But this was just our very simple introduction. We'll look at kind of a more complicated version of creating the same problem with a few more bells and whistles. And then in subsequent videos, we'll dig into all of these commands and processes for assigning variables.